Have you ever wondered why you're not exactly where you want to be? Well, sometimes it's just that we aren't in the right mindset. Sometimes it's that we need to do a little bit more work on our responsibilities and whose fault it actually is, and we need to take some strategic action. So, are you ready? Stay tuned. Let's get on with the show. Welcome to the Equine Business Assistant podcast. As always, my name is Jenny Bush and I'm here to help you create the equestrian business of your dreams so that you can stop procrastinating, so that you can actually live the life that you desire. So welcome to the show and thank you for joining me today. So please do hit the subscribe button so that you don't ever miss a podcast episode, and of course I would really, really love it if you'd leave me a review, because I just would love to read them, and it would also help other people to find what I share. So also, if you've got any ideas of anything that you'd love my take on or opinion on, or anything that would work to help you in your business, do email me at jenny@theequinebusinessassistant.co.uk and let me know of any topics or questions that you'd like me to cover on the show, so that way I can give you value that's actually going to speak into where you are at now. So today I want to share a little bit of a story about responsibility, something that happened in my world this week, and how it's made me sort of rethink a little bit about just what I'm doing myself. So if you're not achieving what it is that you set out to achieve, if there's something that's just not happened and you're not sure why, if you find yourself placing blame in places, sometimes you've got to actually just get real and work out what it is that you've not done that's gonna have made it happen. So just to tell a little story, my daughter's going to kill me for this one, right? But earlier this week, my daughter sort of got ready for school. She went out and she packed her lunch, and I kind of noticed as I was in the kitchen, I noticed that she hadn't left, and I thought, she's going to be late. What's she doing? So I popped my head round the kitchen door and I said to her, you're going to be late. Look at the time. Sort of half worried that I was going to end up getting roped into giving her a lift to school. And the next thing I know, she says to me, well, I've got my bags full of fish oil because I picked up the tin of fish out of the fridge, and how was I to know that it wasn't my lunch? And then she pretty much sort of said, well, it was wrapped in tin foil and you wrapped my sandwiches in tin foil. And to me, it genuinely felt like she was saying that it was my fault that she'd done something stupid. And I think sometimes in business, when we haven't achieved something or something's gone wrong, it's so easy to look and go, well, if they hadn't have done that, rather than thinking, well, actually, I guess deep down we know that we should be cross with ourselves and we know that we should be taking action, but it's so much easier to put the blame on something else. And as well, I'm sort of cross in my business that I haven't achieved what I planned to this month, and mainly that's because my health hasn't been great. I mean, if you follow me, you may be aware that I suffer with extreme tiredness and chronic fatigue, and it doesn't take a lot to tire me out. And a lot of that is managing my mental energy. It's not so much the physical stuff, but when I manage the mental energy, that can help. But there's certain things that trigger me to not achieve and to feel tired, and I'd personally not looked after myself enough, which then led to me getting ill, then led that to me not achieving my goals. Now, it would have been really easy for me to say, well, it was my coach, she didn't help me enough. It would have been really easy to say, well, it was the mastermind, that isn't giving me the tools that I need. But actually the truth is that I didn't do the work. I didn't tap into it. And I've got to take responsibility for that. Much as my daughter picked up a tin of tuna, she put it in her bag, she covered her whole entire schoolwork in fish oil. It was gross. It was absolutely gross, right? But it was her responsibility to pack her lunch. And so I refused, despite her trying to place the blame on me for wrapping it in tin foil, I will not take the blame for that. And it made me really cross. And I think sometimes yeah, it's so easy. Yeah, if we want to get somewhere, there are people that help us. There are things that we need to do in our business, but are we actually doing the work? Can we hand on heart say that we have done the work that we should have done and that it's somebody else's fault? Because half the time we can come back, probably more than half the time, and say, no, if I had done X, Y, Z, then that wouldn't have happened. And I think when we can do that, we can then start to grow. And one of the questions that I asked in my group this week was, what does the growth mean to you? And some said, well, it means getting more knowledge, getting more experience, going for learning, and I'm well up for that. I love to learn. Most of you know I do hours upon hours of reading each week. I do hours of studying and training. I've got masterminds that we have training every couple of weeks. I've got several courses that I've got on the go. And I'm always looking to grow personally in my qualifications, because that helps me to build my confidence in what I do and show up and serve you guys better. So that is one way to grow. Another person said, well, grow actually means to her just to stay where she's at with the business, but to keep it there. Because she's done all the work to get where she's at. She's quite happy where she's at, and that's cool. You don't have to push into more clients, more money, but to actually keep it there at that level. And we've done some work to do that, and we do that through making life a bit easier, so outsourcing things like emails, and just keeping that to free her up the time so that she can maintain the business at that level. And that is growth too, because it's actually you stepping out and going, right, okay, I'm here, I've reached my goal, but now how do I grow that even more into building the life that I want? Yeah, now you've got the financial security. How do you build that into the life that you want? And so it might be a case of saying, right, let's put the prices up, let's do less, let's outsource a little bit more. Excuse me. So that you can maintain that balance. For others, they said it's more clients, and the more clients means more money in the bank, which means more security, and it means that they're more confident. And that is absolutely essential for all startups, for everybody, until you get to that level where you feel that where you feel that you've reached it. And I think you need to take responsibility for how to get to that, and that means taking time out to sit down and plan the foundations and the baby steps and the small wins to do that. So what can you be doing each day that's going to help you to get more clients? What can you be doing each day that's going to help you to grow by freeing up some time so you can live a better life? What can you be doing each day so that you can actually get that knowledge and get that qualification and do what it is that you need to be doing? But it's about taking the responsibility that it's your job to do that. If that's what you want in your life, you can create it. You can totally create it, and being responsible. And if you're not achieving that, taking the responsibility, okay. And it's not about being hard on yourself. Taking responsibility is not about being hard on yourself. It's about using that as a stepping stone to go, right, okay, I need to do something, I need to change, I need to do this, I need to do that. And one of the things that I've been changing a lot in my life lately is that I'm very hard on myself. I've got quite high standards of how I want to live, how I want to earn my money, and so often I've got really, really bad sort of stinking thinking blocks. And I get cross that my house isn't clean enough. I get cross that I'm tired and I can't physically make the stuff that I want happen. And so the way that I've worked through that is I have a control journal. And this control journal is just like a zipper sort of lever arch file, but it's in like a leather one, so it zips up. And so the way that it works through is about giving me those baby steps that are achievable, that help me to win every day and help me to be responsible for the things that I need to be responsible for. So it starts off with my routines for the day. What do I need to do when I get up? What do I need to do when I go to the kitchen? And it reminds me that I need to think about me a little bit more and to look after myself first, because as I said before, if I'm not taking responsibility for that, and I just let life run away with me, my energy gets sucked, I end up ill, I then don't make the money in my business because I'm not able to work, I'm not able to support my clients, and then I feel like a failure. So in order to help me to do that, I make sure that the first thing in my control journal, it says to think about me, to think about what, like, have I taken my vitamins, have I taken my medication. It reminds me to just sit down and to spend a couple of minutes with my thoughts to really get clear on what it is that I need to do, or to journal, or to do a little bit of a morning meditation, or whatever it is that I need to do. It then reminds me that I need to check my calendar. What is my intention for the day? What are we doing for dinner? It reminds me to check my bank balances, because again, if I'm not taking responsibility every day for my money, I find that I haven't looked in the bank, there isn't enough money. I then end up going into into sort of a muddle because I hadn't got the money that I wanted for other things. So it reminds me to do all that, and it's about responsibility. So that's what I do. So that's the first thing that it does. And then it sort of scrolls me through like what's planned for the year. So I look at my year planner, and again, my year planner is sort of spaced out into some, it's just like a blank sheet with 12 squares, and it starts off like, what do I need to do, what's planned for what's just planned in general this year. So like last month I had like the stereophonics, this month I've got Pony Club Camp, next month I've got like, well, it's the school holidays, I'd quite like a day out for a theme park, stuff like that. I put that all on my planner, and that reminds me of the goals that I've got set each month, and what I want to do. And I've also got one for business as well. And then it goes like what's to do in the house or the family, and this is stuff that goes on every single year, and so it stays there, so it doesn't change, but it just reminds me what's the stuff that we need to do each month. So in each month I might have things like check the central heating, clean the carpets, stock up for school in like August. In September I've got to think about October half term, check the smoke alarms, stuff like that is on that one. And then I've got one that's just got birthdays on it. So again, I can at a glance see, okay, whose birthday have I got coming up? Whose cards do I need to write this month? And again, I tend to then tuck them into the control journal because it's got a couple of pockets, so that as that day approaches, I'm prepared, I'm ready, there's no more. Whereas I used to get so exhausted by all this, but there's no more of that. So then it works onto the month. So then I've got a monthly sheet, and I plan out the month. What have I got on each day? And I do the same. I've got another control journal for business, but it flows exactly the same. Then I map out the week, and what I tend to do is I have like a weekly day slot, and I do a little half side is for life and half side is for work. So it kind of reminds me at a glance what I need to be doing that day. And down the one edge I've got like my to-do, so I write anything in there, and then I pull out, like I highlight what I want to do this week, and I pull 3 things out and put them into each day, and then I'm not so overwhelmed with all the to-dos that I need to do. Then I also map out my week in spaces of time blocks. So that's the next page. So once I've got like my plan for the week, I then try and do some time blocking, and I do put this into my Google Calendar. But it just, I find that planning it on paper really helps. And there's times, especially in the morning when I'm doing this little routine, I don't want to be looking at my phone, because I just think it sets me up for distraction, and I don't want to be set up for distraction. So this is how I'm responsible for that. I then map out the day, each day, and I put the time blocks in, and I'm prepared that this is going to change. I try not to be too hard on myself if it doesn't go as planned, but I try to make sure that I've got everything that I wanted to do in there, and then I map out the day. We then go on to doing my finances, so I then track what money was in, what money was out, and so on, and I write that in my little book, and I keep all receipts, because again, I think when you're aware of these things, it helps us to create more of it, more of what we want. And then I just review. I have a page where I just review the week a little bit, and I just write some notes, and I review the month. I just write a quick note so that when I look back, I've got an idea of how the month went, because I think if we're not doing that, it gets really, really hard. That then leads me on to some pages where I've got some vision sort of stuff that I want for my life. And one of the things that I've struggled with, particularly this year, is that I've almost trained myself to have such blinkers on that I've been sort of conditioned to not want anything. And I'd been conditioned to, I couldn't go shopping to buy myself clothes. I really couldn't. This is crazy. But I'd often decide I needed a pair of jeans or whatever, and I would go shopping, and I physically could not even bring myself to pick out any jeans. I just wouldn't like anything. And I don't know whether this is something that's come from, like you get blocks when you're a kid, but yeah, or not to ask, or just because for a long time we just didn't have the money to spend on myself, and if I had money I had to spend it on my children, and so there's lots of things. So I try to remind myself every day of what it is that I want, and I make a note of what I want and why I want it, and so I keep that. So I've got a page with like little things that I want, which are things like I'd like a new garden chair set. I'd like I want a new one of those like blow up paddling pool swim pool things. We used to have one years ago, but I got rid of it when we moved because we've had to move quite a lot in the last couple of years. And yeah, and the other day it was beautiful in the sunny garden, and I thought, if I had a pool, I'd be in it. So that's on my list. And so on, like jumps, I want to buy a set of jumps for the girls, and I put them in there, and I just remind myself of what it is that I want, and then I know when I'm sitting down to work, I've kind of already built that why I'm doing it. So I go through all of that, and then I have pages where like I think about me, I think about Alan, I think about the girls, and so I write any notes that we need for them, and then I've got like my grocery list, so that just like plans, because again, like I'm a mum, I've got 2 kids, I have to plan the food, I have to buy the shopping, and I hate doing it if I'm honest, but having this here, it just gives me something to work off, which means I can do it quicker, and I can plan out the meals, and I can plan out the dinners, and I can write down really quickly what we've got and what I need. And then I have some cleaning lists, which I got from the brilliant Fly Lady, and she has a control journal, so this is where I got this idea from, so do check that out, Fly Lady. And then I've got a couple more projects right at the back, like Pony Club Camp, like the trip to Olympia that I'm organising, and I just keep the notes there. So that helps me to every day to go through what it is that I'm doing, what it is that I need to do, and to be more responsible for what happens in my life. Because if I haven't made the money, if I'm not well, a lot of the time it's because I haven't done what I needed to do, and so by having that there, it reminds me, and then I can change it also, so it's quite good, it's nice and flexible. As I used to try and do it in a journal, but I tend to get messy in journals, and then I don't like doing it because it feels like it's such a mess. I tend to then, even when I've tried like the bullet journal where I've had like certain pages and they've all been numbered and indexed and everything else, I get like, well, I can't find it. Then you have to write it out next time you do one. So I still do keep my little journal and my notebook where I write all my thoughts. But my control journal is the basis of me taking responsibility in my business, me taking responsibility in my life, because as entrepreneurs, everything is connected. Everything. Yeah, you cannot pull your business apart from your life. It just won't work. You need to be a holistic approach, looking at everything, and particularly with like time management and everything else. If you're not achieving what it is that you wanted to, I really, really suggest this system. So if you'd like to know more, if I can help you in any way with that, do of course send me an email, jenny@theequinebusinessassistant.co.uk, and ask away. So I've got a few things that might also help for you to go forwards, but as always, if you've got any value from this and you'd like my help with your business, and you'd like me to help you with something that you're struggling with in business, then of course book in a free discovery call. You can do that on my website, or I will post a link in the show notes, but yeah, and it's just on the page that says work with me. And booking a discovery call, they're free, so we can actually find out where you are now and what you need to do to make it moving forwards. And if you'd like to work with me more, I work with people one-to-one in a variety of different stuff, from email marketing to coaching services, and we can help you to move forward in your business. So as always, I hope that you found this episode useful. I hope that it's helped you even though it feels a bit sort of rambly as always, but I hope that it's helped you to just get an idea of how you can take some responsibility for where you are now, where you want to be, and you can move forward so that you can make your business a super, super success. And I look forward to speaking to you next week. For now, have a great day. Bye.